Keir Starmer has come under intense public pressure following a difficult and demanding interview. During that conversation, the Labour leader was directly confronted on one of the most sensitive issues facing his government, border security. As the questions became more pointed, Starmer tried to retreat into his usual arguments and phrases, but this strategy was quickly called into question. It all happened in front of cameras, with no opportunity to hide behind prepared answers. The public witnessed a rare moment, seeing the Prime Minister struggling to justify his handling of the matter, especially on an issue that continues to generate great concern in society. Journalist Catherine strongly questioned the government's position. She cited German warnings about a possible Russian invasion of a NATO ally in the next 4 years, and criticized the fact that the United Kingdom has not even committed to spending 3% of GDP on defense over the next 9 years. She also quoted General Richard Dannett, who called the position insufficient. Starmer was asked whether he is truly going further and faster, as he often claims, in strengthening national defense. He responded by pointing out that the United Kingdom has been a staunch ally of Ukraine since the beginning of the conflict and continues to play a crucial role in supporting that country. He underscored the ongoing threat posed by Russia, both on the battlefield and in cyberspace, and in its control of international waters. According to Starmer, the best way to avoid conflict is to be prepared, which is why a strategic review was commissioned and is already being implemented. He emphasized that the commitment to increase defense spending to 2.5% by 2027 was made after coming to power and was not included in any party's election manifesto. He also mentioned that this investment must translate into benefits for the country in the form of jobs and opportunities. Regarding border security, he made it clear that no one should be crossing the channel illegally and that it is the government's responsibility to prevent this. He assured them that they are working in close coordination with France and other allies to strengthen controls in the north of the neighboring country. He also said that they are expanding the powers of law enforcement through the new border law currently being debated in Parliament. Regarding the plan to send migrants to Rwanda, he explained that it was cancelled because it was too costly and had almost no effect, as very few agreed to go voluntarily. He rejected faux vide solutions and said he was committed to serious work that includes international cooperation and strengthening security forces, all with the goal of dismantling the criminal networks that profit from this inhumane business. Along those same lines, Keir Starmer insisted that his government is not interested in implementing symbolic or superficial measures that merely garner headlines. Instead, he said his approach is based on concrete and sustained actions, with real results. He emphasized that illegal crossings across the channel have increased by 42% compared to the previous year, demonstrating the urgency of adopting effective strategies. Therefore, he stated his administration has decided to pivot, abandon ineffective initiatives such as the Rwanda plan, and focus on strengthening bilateral cooperation with France, increasing police presence at critical points, and providing border agents with more legal tools. He also emphasized that the new legislation underway will give authorities greater powers to directly confront the mafias that operate with complete impunity. According to Starmer, these criminal groups are behind every boat that crosses the channel, and combating them requires intelligence, international coordination, and firm decisions, not empty promises. The Prime Minister reiterated that although the challenges are enormous, his government is committed to taking the necessary steps, however difficult, to ensure national security and the integrity of the United Kingdom's borders. He emphasized that security is not just a matter of patrols or fences, but of strategy, cooperation, and the effective use of resources. To conclude his remarks, he emphasized that what's at stake is not just immigration control, but citizens' trust in the state's ability to protect them. And in his words, it's not about ideologies, but about results. Reducing the number of illegal arrivals, dismantling human trafficking networks, and maintaining the country's security in an increasingly tense geopolitical context. On another front, a new controversy has erupted over the government's inheritance tax reforms. According to a recent study, more than 200,000 jobs could be at risk in the next 5 years as a result of changes introduced by Chancellor Rachel Reeves. The research was carried out by CBI Economics, commissioned by the group Family Business UK, and their conclusions are overwhelming. If the changes to tax benefits related to agricultural properties and family businesses are implemented, the economic impact will be severe. By 2030 alone, alone, it is estimated that around 28,500 full-time jobs. The report also estimates that the economy could be affected with a total loss of up to £14.8 billion in gross value added, which represents a significant contraction of the British productive fabric. And although the government expects to collect around $1.8 billion in additional taxes, by this means the net fiscal cost would be even higher, around £1.9 billion. The reforms implemented during last year's autumn budget capped the first £1 million in inheritance tax on agricultural and business properties at 100%. Beyond that threshold, a 50% tax will apply, representing a direct blow to family businesses and farms that rely on these benefits to sustain their long-term operations. The Shadow Business Secretary Andrew Griffith harshly criticized the measure, calling it a mathematical blunder by the Treasury and a flagrant violation of campaign promises. According to Griffith, this policy reflects how little the current administration understands or cares about the impact on the country's small and medium-sized businesses. The report also revealed that almost half of family businesses they plan to reduce their workforce, with an average decrease of 9% in jobs. Besides, 50% of these companies are considering canceling or postponing investments, which translates into a drop in up to 16% in total investment projected. Among the most affected sectors is agriculture, which would see an average reduction of 17% in investments, leaving those who work in rural areas and depend on these farms even more vulnerable. For Griffith, the blow to family businesses will be much greater than that suffered by farms, even though the two sectors are interconnected. He didn't hesitate to describe the figure of 200,000 jobs at risk as shocking. The Treasury, for its part, has defended the reforms, ensuring that 3/4 of inheritances will continue to be tax-free, and that the remaining quarter will pay only half of the tax that used to be applied, with the possibility of splitting payments over up to 10 years without interest. The government has maintained that this approach is fair and balanced, as it seeks to fund public services without unduly harming the majority of citizens. They also point out that this measure is part of a broader plan to stimulate economic growth. It includes the establishment of a national wealth fund, the corporate tax reform, changes to pension plans, and a national strategy to attract private investment. However, despite official arguments, experts warn that the side effects could be severe. The decline in jobs, the drop in investment, and uncertainty among business owners could weaken the very productive sectors that sustain the local economy. The question remains whether this fiscal balance model proposed by the government will be able to withstand the weight of its own consequences. For many family businesses, the price of this change may already be too high. In short, while the government claims that these reforms seek to improve public finances and strengthen the services we all use, the figures revealed by the study paint a very different picture. Thousands of jobs at risk, a weakened local economy, and a business community that feels it has been turned its back on. Is it really worth that price? Is this the right path for a country that wants to grow and invest in its future? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think these reforms are fair, or do you think they harm those who most sustain the real economy? If you found this analysis useful, don't forget, give it a like, share it with someone who is interested in the topic, and of course subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next video.